Hello and welcome to another Pre-Chiro podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass, and today we have a Pro-Chiro connection with a chiropractor out in Australia, Jennifer Liu. Can we get started by you just sharing what your background was before you decided to become a chiropractor and kind of what led up to that decision-making process?
Oh, interesting question, Ben. I was actually in a science degree at the University of Melbourne. My major was actually pharmacology. Believe it or not, I was actually wanting to be a forensic toxicologist. So, in my high school years, I actually was in a police program. It was called the Victoria Police Youth Development Program. And it was all about, it was basically police cadets in a way. And that fostered my love of science because I loved science all the way through. And that led me on to wanting to do forensics. I was already under chiropractic care during high school, but just had allegiance to this time. And when I went into my second year of university with my science degree, I realized that labs weren't for me. When we used to learn about pharmacology drugs or pharmacological drugs, you learnt about the value of these drugs rather than what they did, and that just had an ethic, just basically with X and values, just wasn't aligned to what my vision of health would be. So yeah, basically, I'm a finisher. So I finished my degree and transferred to chiropractic at RMIT as soon as I could, basically, and then 5 years later graduated and stayed in Melbourne and worked. And I'm in my practice now actually because my next door neighbours are having a funk band kind of rehearsal thing, so I've quickly just escaped to my office.
Can you kind of talk about that process of going into RMIT, what the experience is like? Is it just about the admissions process, or do they really ensure that you have some fundamentals and foundational understanding of chiropractic before you start the program there?
I missed the basically the cutoff where you had to have an interview and you had to actually have a letter of reference. So RMIT did have that process. So as a mature age student, I just actually waltzed into the program. So they did originally have a screening process, so to speak, but unfortunately, due to being under a university, like a bigger institution, it's all about numbers and just getting students through. Hence why fast forward to 2022, we have the Australian Chiropractic College now.
Okay. Can you kind of, yeah, bring us up to date today and like just kind of look back on the time of maybe how quickly you decided you were going to become a chiropractor and went into school and how fulfilling the experience has been? Maybe just reflect back quickly, just if you're speaking to a high school or a college student and
Yep,
just share with them some of the basics that you've been able to enjoy as a chiropractor.
as a chiropractor. So my decision of finishing my science degree, it was my lecturer and we were sitting, I was on the bench at the University of Melbourne, just trying to toss up what to do. And my professor actually came up to me and he was quite interested in having me in his honours program. And he looked at me and he said, just finish and do what you want to do. Because he could actually see it in my eyes that, that the future of being in that part of the science area, being in the pharmacological side wasn't like, it just didn't fill my heart, didn't fill my cup. So he was like, I have to let you go and enter chiro. So entering chiro, being in quite a, when you are in an institution, it's not very vitalistic or philosophy based, so to speak. So during that time, we were quite lucky. Our generation of chiropractors or chiropractic students, we had beautiful chiropractors who actually opened up their practices and held philosophy nights for us and made sure that we got through our degree, but we went through our degree with love and philosophy and what chiropractic should be. So without those chiropractors actually opening their practices to us and actually having students in their offices, it, yeah, it would have changed my career totally.
Mm, mm. Yeah, can you talk about those chiropractic experiences you had outside of the classroom that really helped support the clarity that you had of why you were going through the program and what you were going to be doing later on, just kind of starting with the end in mind or seeing what's possible? What were
Yep.
some maybe surprises that you encountered when you entered into the chiropractic profession that you weren't aware of previously?
I had really good mentors, and one of those mentors actually became my first principal. And he said to me at the start, I need you to go and do observations. So by the time I finished my 5th year, I had walked into 160 practices and did obs in those. And the reason why he made me go into those offices, because he wanted me to gauge what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And what he didn't actually tell me was that by entering all those practices, your list of things that you don't want to do in practice, or the things that don't align with you as a chiropractor, is actually going to be longer than the things that you actually want to do, right? And it's just making sure that you finesse those techniques that you're interested in, and actually just really embracing how you want your practice look, how you want to practice, what your values are, and the people that you want to serve as well. And the other advice that he gave me was, when you are in your first year of chiro, or when you start your journey as a chiropractic student, the end goal is you are going to be a chiropractor, right? So you need to start working towards that. So I would go to seminars. I spent a lot of money on seminars. He actually suggested for me to take a bank loan, because he did that. He was like, take a bank loan, go to everything. You only are a student once. You only get student pricing once. Just go ahead and do it. And I was like one of those annoying students that would go up to chiropractors, go, hi, I'm Jen Lu, I'm a student. Like, would you mind mentoring me? What gems do you have for me? And fast forward to today, if I get into trouble, these mentors are only a phone call away. And it's quite a big lesson to learn. It's harder to knock on someone else's door when you already have graduated and they don't really know you from a bar. So, but if you already build those connections up when you're a student, when you do need help or advice, they've known you for a long time. So they are going to keep helping you as well. For the students as well, I joined every single association as well. So I was also one of those annoying students that was the treasurer of this and the secretary of that and the vice president of this chiropractic student association. And that actually helped me get access to more mentors. And a side note, you do get freebies too, as from seminars, because you're in because they want you to pass the event to students, so you often get a free ticket too. So so that's a little tidbit. So so that was one of my, I'm so grateful that my first principal said, get to everything. You are in a chiropractic course, you actually need to start working outside of your course to be a chiropractor at the end.
That's amazing that you were able to observe like over 150 chiropractic offices as a student. Can you talk about some of the details of what you were observing and maybe give some guidance or advice of, if a student's walking into a practice, what are some things that they should pay attention to at a granular level, and then maybe at a bigger picture level as well?
Yeah. So in these offices, did I like the setup, open plan, closed plan, technique style? Ideal client is super important, because you will find a niche of clients that you really just love working with as well. And CAs, music, colors, like this is one of our company colors here, the cobalt blue. It's my personal favorite too. You might see over there, we've got the teal just through the door there. Our mums in our office love teal, maybe because they like Tiffany's and Co. We don't know. But you soon get to find out what colors you want. We have lots of plants, whether you want a homely office, whether you want a contemporary office. This office here, we see a lot of families, so we try to keep it as homely as possible. Do you want other contractors in your office? Do you want my therapist? Do you want a naturopath? Do you want podiatrists? Do you just want it to be only a chiropractic office? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the city? Do you want to be in the country? All sorts of things. So my principal said, just write at the end, write all the things that you like, and then write all the things, or jot down all the things that you just hated or you don't want to, or things that don't align with you, and then slowly your vision is in a notebook, and then you just keep building onto that, really.
Amazing. Can you talk about your practice today? You just shared some of the colors and some of the ideal clientele that you see and the way that you set your office up to take care of them, but maybe any technology, any descriptions on a detailed level that can help a student also look for those things when they go and visit practices?
Yeah, so in our office, we have CLA Insight by the lovely Dave Fletcher. We have all sorts of things actually. So we have basically our CLA, we've got all our vitals, and we still, for those students, you still need to learn to take blood pressure manually because we still do it here. So yeah, so all vitals are done here. We do posture screening photos, weight scales if we need to. And then when you walk out into here, we've got an open plan office. And the reason that we have an open plan is that our main, we see a lot of families, and that's what we aim for. It's all about keeping families, which will lead on to our community being well. So that's why we've designed our office open plan. There's
Mm-hmm.
couches, play areas. We've got 2 play areas because we're really fostering that homely environment. That once you're in here, it's not clinical. You're safe. It's home, and everyone's healthy and thriving, basically.
Amazing. I'm curious, just because I have a reference to you being connected to the Australian Spinal Research
Yep,
Foundation.
yep.
Do you implement anything in your office that allows you to do research, or are you just supporting this organization because you see the importance that it has for our profession?
Well, I've been a long supporter of ASRF as ever since I was a student, basically. And as chiropractic evolves, so does research and the demand for research. So in today's society, research is a commodity, like we can't deny it. And the Australian Spinal Research Foundation, being subluxation based, supports what we do in practice as well. So in Australia, we are a little bit in a little tight box of what we can say and what we can advertise. So we do need that research to say, yes, we can look after you for such and such and such and such and such and such. So it's really exciting that the Australian Spinal Research Foundation, we have launched case studies for chiros, and we want things like immunity, stress, adaptation, so we can say those things in practice with confidence and advertise those things in confidence. We know that we know as chiropractors the change that we can make in people's lives, but for us to have that authority, we do need research. And for people that deny that we don't need research, well, you research the clothes that you put on, you research your car, you research where you want to live, you research where your kids' schools are. If you are single and on a dating app, you will research someone. You will find that person on Instagram or, Facebook before you hit that swipe button. So research is commodity, right?
Mm-hmm. Can you kind of reflect on what the Australian Spinal Research Foundation has been able to contribute up until this point, and what is maybe something a student can do to support that organization or get involved, or how can that organization support a student who's interested in maybe exploring the research? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So we're focused on producing subluxation based research, or funding or facilitating it. So we do work with other organizations to get the research out there as well. So either if you are a member, thank you so much. We are very excited that we've just worked out. We are waiting. We've just worked out what we can fund from a case study project point of view, and we are actually have opened up our expression of interest for our current chiropractic researchers to submit their research in. So if you are a member, your money is going towards basically getting that research or case studies out there. If you are a student, then we actually have the same love. I've got the student portfolio for the ASRF, and we are producing jump starts. So for the chiropractic students, we're trying to get around to Australia and actually putting on seminars just dedicated for students, helping them transition from student to chiropractor. So bringing that back, it'll be a day where we have multiple speakers and chiropractors actually sharing gems and how to actually get that transition from student to chiropractor, whether it's helping you out with the day one, helping you out with the day two, how to communicate research and all that stuff. As a pre-chiro student, I would really suggest heading along to one of our events. We have just relaunched Dynamic Growth. We are traveling around the states of Australia. Hopefully we'll be able to expand to the USA as well, and get to you guys. But yeah, so we're slowly, now that we can do events again, we're slowly getting around to to doing all those.
Do you have any publications or journals that you recommend students explore, or
Yes.
places, resources that they can learn more?
If you hit onto our spinal research website, spinalresearch.com.au, it's in our resources tab. So if you click on that, all the studies that we have funded are in there. And then there's actually public education too. So we've got a blog. So you can actually subscribe to our blog. It's a weekly blog, and it's just a really nice email of summary of the research that's out there, whether it's ours or not.
hmm
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you work with the Foundation for Vertebral Subluxation Research, or the Journal of Vertebral Subluxation Research? And are these organizations that seem to be aligned in vision and focus collaborating at all? And also, finally, what's the budget that you currently have? And then, if that was 10 times greater, what's possible? Do we have enough researchers? Do we have enough students that know how to do research? I'm just curious what the potential is, if this thing was to grow massively.
The aim of the foundation is, if we do have the profession support and we do have those members out there, we wish that we will not turn away any research, right? If any expression of interest fits in within our subluxation research agenda, we'll be able to fund it. So that is the vision of Australian Spinal Research Foundation. All right. In terms of what journal we've aligned with our case study project, if you're a chiropractor and you've got an interesting case study that you would like us to publish, all we ask you to do is actually fill in our online form, and then our research committee will approve whether it fits into our agenda or not. We will actually write your case study for you. So all we need is your client's consent forms, your notes, and we actually have 2 writers that will actually write up your case study for you, and you'll be given lead author as well. It actually makes it really cool for chiropractors to get interested in research and to get more research out there. And those case studies are actually published in the Australian Pacific Chiropractic Journal, led by Philip Ebrel, actually. So we have chiropractors being published in a very reputable journal. So we're very happy with that collaboration with the journal.
Can you give some clarity and context as to what a case study is, what type of story it tells? Can it bridge the gap of sociology and chiropractic practice, or is it specifically just a person comes in, they have this symptom, condition, or experience that a chiropractic care plan is able to help with, and then remeasure how everything's improved? Is that
Yes.
is that basically all that a case study is, or can we connect it into, like, chiropractic has helped this demographic this many times this year, and we really are seeing success with this demographic, so therefore we would like to see more research published to continue building a library of materials for this demographic? I'm just curious.
Case studies are great because they get basically the research out there on a low level. But if you have enough of the same thing, obviously we're going to have, it's going to ask more questions. It's going to have our researchers who are actually in research centers go, okay, let's investigate this further. So we do actually need your case studies. So it can actually dictate where research goes. So we do highly encourage, whether you just have one client's life that you have changed, we want to hear about it, because if we get more of those, we can actually dictate the future of chiropractic research.
I'm curious, with the new Australian Chiropractic College, how that's going. I'm sure that you're involved, or that you're observing how things are going with that. Can you kind of just share a little bit about that program, and why it's so vital to Australia?
The best person would be Pat Sim. I believe you've spoken to Patrick Sim already. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before Australian Chiropractic College, you had either the choice of going to one of our 4 current universities here in Australia, or you could head over and go over to New Zealand Chiropractic College. So unfortunately, like I said before, if you have a chiropractic program sitting within a bigger university, you're going to lose the philosophy. You're going to lose learning the vitalism. You're going to have your idea of chiropractic, or basically the future of these students as the next generation of chiropractors being dictated to by people that are not chiropractors. Yeah. So we have, unfortunately, students who graduate from these universities not knowing what the 33 principles are. They don't even know who BJ or DD Palmer is. Like, they don't even know the history of chiropractic to why they are chiropractors today. So they come out very blind to basically what chiropractic can do, because they're confined to this scope of practice, which is just musculoskeletal. They don't know anything else. It breaks my heart when a student who turns into a chiropractor, a new graduate, and hasn't even touched a green book, can't even tell me what the first two principles are. So that's why the Australian Chiropractic College, led by Pat Sim, had to happen in Australia. Not everyone can, unfortunately, go to New Zealand or head off to Sherman Chiropractic College. So there was a call, there was a need for us to protect chiropractic in Australia, and this Australian Chiropractic College had to do it.
Awesome. Do you see, if you're just like looking into the future, where are you going? What is your passion right now? What's your vision for yourself and the impact that you're making on the profession?
My vision is my chiropractic program in Cambodia. So I've been doing it since 2012. I was really lucky to go in 2012 as a fifth-year student to Cambodia for 2 weeks, and it's amazing what you can do to a small population of people that are quite impoverished and rural. So the big dream in the works, Ben, is to actually have every single chiropractic college come and do a trip with me, whether you're a qualified chiropractor. I do love fostering and mentoring chiropractic students. So it has been designed, my trip specifically has been designed to have chiropractic students in their final year with me for 2 weeks, where out of the 14 days, we're adjusting 9 to 10 days. So I'm trying to get these students to graduate with heart, not head, trying them and really encouraging them they are enough, their hands and the table that they have are enough. Trying to also get them to see and learn that unconditional love of just loving the person in front of you, just looking at that person. There's no, like, I know there's a language barrier, but if you can just love the person in front, acknowledging and looking at that person, that I see you, I hear you, I'm witnessing your life and your existence today, how that can change someone's life, really.
And Cambodia, why does that hold a special place to you? Did you do you have roots there, or did you travel there when you were younger?
No, my background is Vietnamese, but my mum is a boat refugee. So in Cambodia, it is one of the poorest nations in the world. Unfortunately, they did have the Khmer Rouge come through just recently. So unfortunately, a lot of people do live in poverty there. And there always is a bit of a childhood trauma that I had to work through as well, saying I'm very, very lucky that mum came here and I live the life that I have now. I live a fantastic life. I'm not going to deny it. I live an incredibly blessed one. But she could have easily been stuck in Vietnam and my life would have been very much different. So having the vision of, chiropractic being accessible to everyone, if they can't have it, then we should go to them. So everyone deserves to be adjusted. The big dream is every child to be adjusted and receive an education, no matter the situation or location. So we do work underneath a bigger charity in Cambodia. It's called Restore One. And so when chiropractic students or chiropractors come with me, we are looked after by a charity who has government ties. So all our clinics have been picked by the Cambodian government. So, and they actually send one of their governors, or like a mayor you might relate to, and they actually come with us, with our team, and they are so grateful of the people of the chiropractors there, of the people that we serve. They already notice a difference after one adjustment. It only takes one adjustment sometimes, or occasionally, if all you can give is your best adjustment, that's all we ask. And then also at the same time, we build a classroom too. So we have clinics in the morning. We come back to our Restore One, either primary school or high school, and we add on a classroom to that charity school. And again, it's just another message: is your hands are enough, your heart is enough. BJ Palmer, you never know how far-reaching what you say do, can affect the lives of people tomorrow. So yeah, so like in your practice, we worry about, us, our clients, we worry about our business, we worry about the next person waiting for us. We're trying to balance work, family as well. When you come to Cambodia, it's just you're just present. Like you can leave all that behind, and you just need to focus on just loving the person in front of you. And if you love the person in front of you, and they actually, feel that love, you can affect one person. You can affect a family. You can affect a community. You can affect, a country just by loving the person in front of you.
Can you speak a little bit more specifically about like your subluxation analysis or just how you approach people, how you work with people, um, just kind of the skill sets that you had to develop within yourself, and then maybe looking back on just kind of who you were and how like your background and your interests really helped serve you in developing yourself into a chiropractor?
In terms of general practice, or in terms of Cambodia? Both?
Uh, Maybe both.
Maybe both? Yeah.
Just because we're continuing to build context for people that are really just starting to engage with what this process could look like for themselves, just by sharing what it looked like for you, maybe in the skills that you developed, and kind of just how you approach people, how you work on them
Yeah.
specifically.
I always recommend students to come onto a volunteer trip overseas, because you will see a lot of people and a large amount of demographics. So the reason where I am today is because I had that opportunity back in my final year of university, college. So when you are a fifth year student, dropped into a country, you've got a translator, but you don't really at the same time, because they're trying to look after, 12 other chiropractic students. You got your client on the table face down. You've just got your hands, and you've just got your intuition of finding, locating, correcting verbal subluxation. And I cannot highly recommend a student who's not sure on their techniques, before you graduate, you need to come on a trip. Your skills of just, there's nothing stopping you. Like you're just zoned in on this person. There's no one talking. Like, there's like language barrier. Okay, communication. All right, you've just got your hands. So your palpation skills has to be there, and you just loving this person, you will do what's right by them. Whether you're a student, whether you're a qualified chiropractor, you are enough to serve this person. And I've translated that through our practice. And I always will say to people, if you love people well, you'll be looked after in return. If you look after people well, they will look after you 10 times as well. And I've carried that through to today as well.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you taking the time. Just to keep going with a couple of more questions before I let you go, can you kind of speak a little bit about the Cambodia trip and what kind of support you need? And also, I'm curious how many students you're able to bring with you each time, and if you know of any other Australian chiropractors that do trips like this, maybe you could give them a shout out.
Yeah, sure. So we work with universities. So we've worked with RMIT before. We were so close to taking Central Queensland Uni before came along. We shall not talk about that. We have taken students from AEC before in the UK. So basically, these students either come to us. We're excited to. I'm trying to get to Cambodia back in whether it's August, September, October. So if you are a student and you know that you've got other students interested, we'll love you to join our team. We have just taken only chiropractors before as well, because sometimes chiropractors don't want to miss out. They don't necessarily want to mentor students. That's fine. It's about what serves you. So if you are interested, let me know, and we'll organise a trip. You can come with us for 14 days. You do have to work for about for about 9 to 10 of those days. But it is not life-changing. I say it's life-grounding. They're quite loving, the Cambodian people, and you realize when you are in rural Cambodia, in a place of poverty, in a place where people only earn $1 a day, of how much you really don't need, of how blessed we are, and how much joy you can have. I think when we are in our practices, or when we are a student trying to get our assignments done, or trying to focus on exams, when you're not present, I think you miss out on moments, and that really saddens me as well, because there are so many beautiful moments to be had if you're just present. So yeah, so I think coming to Cambodia, or coming to any overseas trip to get your hands on, is very life grounding. We do have chiropractors that go to India. So I know there's Aussie chiropractors that are organising themselves to head off to India quite soon. We have one chiropractor that often goes to the Solomon Islands. There's another one that goes to Vanuatu. I think one goes to Fiji. So there are a lot of Australian chiropractors doing awesome things, whether they're a part of a big organisation, or whether they're just picking up a portable table and doing it themselves.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
that's actually a really important piece right there. Just with your awareness, if you could kind of look at the landscape of resources that have been developed by the Australian Chiropractic Collective, whether it be seminars, whether it be events, whatever you choose to talk to, can you kind of just share with students what's out there that is aligned with who you are, and what you believe chiropractic is about, or what's aligned with chiropractic, shall we say?
With the events coming up in the Aussie landscape.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, not being biased, but Australian Spinal Research Foundation, we do have our events coming up. So we're very excited that we have started our dynamic growth, like I just spoke about. So we're just traveling to 3 states at the moment. Due to what's happened in the world, there's always online seminars as well. The Australian Chiropractic College has just had their Concordia, so that happens every February, March every year. The beautiful thing about chiropractic in Australia, I think you would have spoken about this to Shady and Sally, is that we have a beautiful tribe here, very vitalistic, philosophy-based tribe, and it's every time there is an event that we all feel like is consistent with us, with our values, and cohesive with our values, we actually do go to these events. So we do have wonderful leaders in the profession, whether they're technique-based or if they're just seminar-based, like the foundation, we will actually turn up to these events. So there are a lot of Aussie chiropractors leading wonderful things, whether they're SOT, ABC, activator-based, or just ordinary seminars. So we're quite a united profession in a lot of ways. And we do have a lot of good people in good leadership positions here.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you. I appreciate you kind of just giving me as much as you can based on my questions. I'm just curious to share with you a little bit about the Pre-Chiro project and see what you think about it. The idea of extending the runway, the idea of having there be preparatory training before you enter chiropractic school. What could that mean as far as students showing up exposed and experienced and clear of like why they're going to chiropractic school, what they want to focus on, what they want to study? I guess this more speaks to like what's the potential that a student has if they've trained and they've maybe gotten grounded and rooted in what they're going to do earlier in the process, and how can we utilize or leverage those last couple years of chiropractic school to really maybe encourage them to go further than a typical student would.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll answer that in 2 questions, because obviously the Australian Chiropractic College has our full support, because we know they are cohesive. They are supporting the vision of what chiropractic is. Yep. So as an Aussie chiropractor, we will try to get our students to the Australian Chiropractic College. Unfortunately, let's be realistic, a lot of our students just can't move to Adelaide. So if they do happen to be in one of our courses under our bigger institutions or universities, I was really lucky as a student, and hence why I give back so much to students now, especially with the chiropractic program that I have in Cambodia, is we need our fellow chiropractors to step up. And these chiropractors back when I was a student, they defined me. So without them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be, helping our next generation of chiropractic or pre-chiro students also follow the vision that we have for chiropractic. So in terms of if they can't go to the Australian Chiropractic College, we need other chiropractors in all the other states to actually go out to the students and help foster them the way that I was fostered through my 5 years of uni.
Awesome.
So I think we need to work as a team, Ben. So yeah,
Absolutely.
and chiropractors, we're a very interesting profession because I don't think anyone gives back to its students as much as the chiropractic profession does.
I appreciate you for coming on here, sharing some insights. There's so much to tease out of this conversation for a student and go down and explore, the resources. Is there a website for your Cambodia program, by the way?
Yeah, it's to loveandserve.com.au. If you're just interested in a trip, just you'll find me on the socials or just send us an email. We are trying to get a team there this second half of the year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No worries. Thanks.